Starting a tutoring business can feel like a big challenge. I know how it is, I've been in your shoes. In this video, I'll walk you through a 5-step framework that helped me launch my tutoring business, which generated over 100k in revenue. Step number 1. Decide what you want to tutor. If you ever helped someone learn something new, you already have what it takes to become a tutor. So if you're like a student, you can just pick something you've done really well in. For example, a test you got a high score on, maybe like some SAT, ACT or whatever. That would show that you can actually help others. If you're a teacher, focus on what you love teaching or what your students ask for the most. So step number 2 is decide how you want to promote yourself. There are 4 ways to promote yourself, and this is inspired by Alex Hormozy, so I just want to give a proper credit to the guy. He's amazing. Watch his stuff. He's really cool. When it comes to promotional channels, you can promote either one-on-one or one-to-many. All right? So if you promote one-on-one, you can promote to people who know you and people who don't. Simple. And I'll get into this a little bit deeper. I just want to show you this entire beautiful picture here so that you kind of like have an idea of the big picture before we dive deeper into the details. When it comes to one-to-many, you can either promote yourself by posting free content online or social media, or you can run paid ads. That's kind of like about it. And that's more or less what Alex Hormozy introduces in one of his books. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this and how this can relate to tutoring. All right. Way to promote number 1, reaching out to people who know you. So this one could be very simple because you can reach out to friends, family, colleagues, or maybe some of your former students. Basically, like ask them if they need any help, like with some stuff that you want to tutor, or if they know someone who does. So a simple way to start is just by opening up contacts on your phone and texting all of those people, just from your phone, just like that. Let's talk about the next way you could promote yourself. And this is just reaching out to people who don't know you. You can join different online groups, like support groups related to your subject or to the subject you want to tutor. And you can answer different questions under different posts, just interact with those potential students. You can also send messages to the group members of those communities if it's okay to do that. Just make sure that, the community, whatever community you try to go to, is okay with that in terms of their like policies, rules, regulations, whatever. The idea is that if you want people to know that you exist, you gotta start reaching out to those people one way or another. And so when you're reaching out to people who don't know you, that's called cold outreach. And when I first started, it was one of the things that I did just to kind of create some noise and let people know that, hey, I do exist. Okay. So the third promotional way might be a little bit harder. So it's posting valuable content online. It kind of helps to show that you know what you're talking about. The caveat here is that it might take some time to get traction.
So English is my second language.
So when you start posting, you're not going to see the results immediately. It might take you some time to kind of like get those subscribers, get those views. You can potentially speed up that process by partnering up with tutors in adjacent fields, maybe to come to their podcasts or their YouTube channels, like Instagram stories, whatever. This can help you speed up the process a little bit. But yeah, that's channel number 3. And let's go to channel number 4. So channel number 4 is running paid ads. So if you're completely new to the game, this might be a little bit of a difficult one to master because it requires a little bit of a financial capital to start with, and it's also a little bit risky if you don't know what you're doing. So I would not recommend starting with paid ads unless you know what you're doing or willing to learn how to do that properly. Okay, so I discussed like these 4 channels for promotion right now, and you might be wondering, so which channel should you choose, or like which channels should you choose to start? And my answer here would be that it depends on what you feel most comfortable with. When I first started, I began by sharing useful content on social media. So basically the free content, like the channel number 3 that I just discussed. I also did some cold outreach. So basically I researched those support groups. So I was teaching English as a second language, so I found the support groups for that and started interacting with students in the comments under different posts. When it felt right, I also sent direct messages to some of the students that I interacted with in those communities. So that was the cold outreach part that I did, in addition to the free content that I was posting on my page. Just pick the method that feels right for you and fits your budget. That's kind of like a simple answer. With that being said, I want to highlight the posting on social media channel because it's free and it helps boost other methods over time as well. So if down the line you decide to run paid ads, having some social media presence will actually pay off quite well. Maybe let's chat about it a little bit more. Let's break it down further, okay? So if you want to get started, you want to get yourself out there, start promoting yourself on social media. So basically what you could start doing there, okay? So there are quite a few platforms you could pick from, and my personal recommendation would be to start with maybe one platform. Choose the one you are most comfortable with, the one maybe you're using the most, the one that you understand the most, so that like content creation process would feel easy and natural for you. Before you decide to commit to that said platform though, do a little bit of research and answer the following questions, all right? So, question number 1 would be, are students or parents on this platform? Because if it's some very specific platform which doesn't have any of your target audience, doesn't have any of your students that you want to tutor, there is no point of posting stuff on that platform, right? Makes sense? Yeah. Okay. Now, the next question you should also ask yourself is, are there any other tutors teaching my subject on this platform? Because it's just another indicator that if there are other people teaching your stuff on that platform, possibly it means that there are students who are watching that stuff. And you can check how many views, likes, comments, just like in general, how much interaction those posts are getting. And by analyzing your competitors, you can also understand your own competitive advantage. Oftentimes it's just you that makes you stand out, really. Your personality, the way you explain stuff. All right, so those are 2 main questions you should ask yourself before committing to a particular platform. Now, the most important piece is that once you commit to the platform after doing all of the research and figuring out that yes, it's worth giving it a try, post regularly and post a lot. Because as I had mentioned before, it's not gonna blow up overnight. It's work, consistent work, but it's definitely worth it, especially in the long run. Now we're getting to the step number 3, and step number 3 would be build a list. And so you might have a very logical question, which is, what's a list? Well, the thing is that social media can be unreliable. Algorithms change all the time, and keeping track of all of that is just so stressful. And especially if you're a teacher, you probably don't have the time, honestly, on top of your full-time job to keep tracking all of that stuff. So that's why list becomes very important. Your audience can vanish overnight, easily. And you need a way to stay in touch with all of those people that know you and want to get information from you, maybe want to sign up with you. So a list is a great way to directly reach those people. How can you create that list? That might be like a question. So a list of the people that you can directly reach out to. So one way to do that is by using what's called a lead magnet. So a lead magnet is kind of like a solution to a smaller problem. You can think of it this way. So if you're preparing students for an exam, for example, it could be one section of that exam, like some sort of guide on that section, or even like a checklist of some sort. So for example, if you tutor SAT students, you could share a cheat sheet with different tips on how to prepare for the reading section of that exam. I'm providing like a lot of examples with exams, but this could be applicable to like tutoring in areas that do not have exams as well. So you can just find like a particular sub-skill within what you're planning to teach and make that an easy lead magnet. So lead magnet oftentimes is free. That's another thing that I'll mention. And you offer it in exchange for students' contact information. Most times it's just like an email address, but it can also be like permission to send them a broadcast direct messages on some social platforms. So it's kind of like an easy way to reach your students and grow your list so that, again, in case anything happens, you don't really lose your business overnight. let's chat a little bit more about how to actually like build a list using a lead magnet, like what kind of steps you should follow. So it's like you have your lead magnet, what do you do with it, right? So, well, first of all, we're gonna come up with an idea of a lead magnet. So what could be so simple that you could do and just keep giving people out either for free or like at a very discounted rate? And it has to be something very valuable that people would want to say yes to and just give you their like contact information in exchange. Then you create what's called a landing page. You can use different software tools to help you build it. On this page, provide a description of what the lead magnet is all about. Also, add a form to collect contact information. Then you can send the lead magnet to the email address they provide. Basically, offer the lead magnet for free. Like if you want to charge for it, you gotta charge very, very little. I would recommend free though. In return, ask for the student's contact information. So once you have a list, it's very important to nurture it. So, because like this just happened to me actually a few days back. On your phone, you probably have contacts of a lot of people. And there are some people you never talk to. And then that person reaches out to you, like after like 3 years of not talking. What's your reaction? Your natural reaction is like, they want something from me, right? And you don't want your relationship with your list to be like that. You want your list to be excited to open up like emails or messages from you because they would be looking forward to the value that you're providing. So that's where this whole newsletter piece comes in. By creating your own newsletter, so it's like by sending out a lot of free value to the students or their parents, you encourage them to open up your every single email from you or every single message from you, and it makes it so much easier to sell stuff to them, to sell them your tutoring services. When I first started, I focused on exam tutoring, as I mentioned, right? And my newsletter that I started was called 150 Steps to Success on Your Exam in English as a Second Language. And 150 is just matched our timeline before the exam. The idea was that I would send out daily tips right before the exam. You don't need to stick to a number like that. I'm just providing like an example of what we did. The idea is that if you want to focus on the newsletter, I would probably recommend something very simple. It doesn't have to be like a long email with a lot of pictures or something. I know this guy who sends out like emails and they're like very short. You can read each email in under a minute. Really cool. You can think of your own twist to that. But the idea is that you gotta stay consistent and you gotta nurture your newsletter, your email list so that people don't forget that you exist. And so that when you actually have some sort of offer, they don't feel repelled by it. Okay, so now step number 4 is actually launching a paid course. So we started by providing a lot of free value, mostly upfront, like again, lead magnet, newsletter, all of that fun stuff. Once you have a small audience and email list or some other sort of list, it's time to offer something paid. It doesn't have to be perfect, just something simple to have a few people. And you can use this small course to basically build your confidence and also get valuable feedback from your students so that you could improve the product for the future iterations. So this is kind of like a test subject for you in a way. It doesn't have to be expensive either. So it's a small course, and the way I did it when I first started, I just looked at the syllabus of everything that the students need to know to pass that English as a Second Language exam that I was preparing them for. And I took like a small kind of like piece of that curriculum and taught it as a single course so that the student who attended my course would master that particular skill. So that's kind of like the way I did it. Again, take it and make it your own. And don't worry if just a few people sign up. At this stage, you're looking for feedback to improve and to honestly also collect some testimonials, because once you have the testimonials, promotional efforts become so much more easier as well. So yeah. Okay. And we come to the step number 5. And the step number 5 is create a longer course for groups. And in case you're wondering, like, why am I like talking about groups here? The idea is that you could take and make this work for one-on-one tutoring as well. But the thing about one-on-one tutoring is that it caps at the number of hours in a day that you have. Like, that's the bad thing about one-on-one tutoring. Basically, you have 8 hours in a day and it makes you work a lot, and it doesn't work while you sleep. It's kind of like you're exchanging hours for money, which is very similar to a job. And if that's what you're looking for, by all means. But there's another option, another route that you could take here. And that's exactly like what group tutoring is all about. With group tutoring, you can actually work less hours and generate more money. So that's why I'm like focusing on it as much. I believe I made a separate video on my channel earlier about talking, like doing the whole math behind like group tutoring versus one-on-one tutoring and sharing like my experience with that. I'll probably link it somewhere here. Anyways, after your small course does well, it's time to make a bigger offer. And the bigger course lets you add more lessons, cover the entire like thing that you want to teach, the entire skill set or the entire curriculum if you prepare students for something, and go deeper into your subject. So this also allows you to provide students extra support and charge them more. So with a longer course, you can help more students learn more stuff, which is kind of cool. This is actually how I grew my tutoring business, and this was my main product. So bigger courses allowed me to share more value and earn steady income, which is great, right? So yeah, you don't need to make it perfect. The idea is just to get it started and keep improving. Anywho, so those are the 5 steps of how to start your own tutoring business from nothing and make it work while you sleep. Starting a tutoring business can be really hard, but think about all of the students that you can help and all of the lives that you can change. Because I sincerely believe that education is at the core of fundamental changes in person's life. And by providing the services that you want to provide, you're not just helping yourself, but you're actually transforming lives. And to me, this is beautiful. And I believe that you can build something amazing. Anyways, so these are my 50 cents. Hopefully that was helpful. Give this video a like if it was.